Hey everyone, welcome back. Excited for another deep dive today.
Definitely.
Awesome. So we're going to be looking at some excerpts
Okay.
from Reflections on the Life of the Spirit.
I love that book.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Yeah.
And it's, part of a series that the
Yeah.
Ruhi Institute put together, which is,
Yeah.
really all about
Yeah.
community building through education.
Yeah.
And this book particularly is drawing a lot from the Baha'i teachings.
Right.
And so what we're going to try to do is really extract some key insights about how the Baha'i Faith views the soul and the power of prayer.
Love it.
So one of the things that really jumped out at me is how much this book emphasizes deeds over words.
Oh, for sure.
There's that quote, let deeds, not words, be your adorning.
Right.
And it just makes you think, like, all those times when you say you believe in something, but then your actions maybe don't.
Exactly. The Baha'i teachings really stress the importance of aligning our actions with our beliefs.
Exactly.
It's about walking the walk, not just talking the talk.
Totally.
It's easy to get caught up in words and appearances.
Yeah.
But true transformation comes from actually living our values.
Yes. And what I thought was really interesting, too, is that this book gets into some really specific, kind of tricky social situations.
Oh,
yeah. Like it talks about how to resist gossiping. And it straight up says, breathe not the sins of others.
Ooh.
So long as thou art thyself a sinner.
Yeah. That's a powerful reminder, isn't it?
It really is.
It's so easy to point fingers and judge others.
Right.
But that quote really challenges us to, to look inward first.
Yeah.
To acknowledge our own imperfections.
Right.
Before we start focusing on the faults of others.
It's like before you even think about gossiping.
Exactly.
Ask yourself, am I perfect? Am I living a completely blameless life?
Exactly.
It really makes you stop.
It does. It does.
Okay.
It ties into this core belief of the Baha'i Faith about the soul.
Okay.
The Baha'i Faith believes that the soul begins at conception, that it's non-physical, and that it's eternal.
Okay, so we have this eternal soul.
Yes.
How does that relate to our physical body?
Yeah, that's a great question. The book uses this beautiful analogy to explain this. It says that the soul and the body are like a lamp and a mirror.
Got it.
The lamp, which represents the soul, shines brightly regardless of the state of the mirror, which is our physical body.
So even when we're going through rough times or we're feeling sick or just kind of down, our soul is still that source of light.
It is.
That's comforting. It reminds me of that saying.
Yeah. Your
body is a temple for your soul. Maybe instead of worrying so much about how our bodies look, we should be focusing more on nurturing our souls.
And this concept can really help shift our perspective on challenges and setbacks.
Okay.
If the soul is eternal and it's constantly evolving, then those tough times we go through become opportunities for growth, not just obstacles to overcome.
That's a good way to look at it.
Yeah.
So what's the point of all this?
Okay.
According to the Baha'i teachings, why are we here?
Well, the Baha'i writings tell us that the purpose of life is to know and attain the presence of God. And that this world is kind of a training ground, a place where we can develop these spiritual powers.
Spiritual powers. What does that even mean?
It's like, think of a baby developing in the womb. The baby's gaining all these faculties it'll need for life outside the womb. Things like sight, hearing, the ability to breathe.
Yeah.
Well, in the same way, we're developing these spiritual faculties here that we may not even be fully aware of yet.
Interesting.
Things like love, compassion, the capacity for selfless service.
Wow. So we're like spiritual embryos in a way.
Exactly.
Preparing for this bigger existence.
Yeah.
So if this world is just a preparation, what happens after we die?
Yeah.
Where does our soul go?
That's a really big question.
Yeah.
And one that the Baha'i writings definitely explore in depth. But essentially, the idea is that our souls continue to progress, to learn and to draw closer to God.
Even after physical death?
Even after physical death.
So it's not like the end when we die. It's more like...
a new chapter.
Yeah, the beginning of a new chapter.
And the qualities that we develop here are love, our kindness, our detachment from material things,
right,
those become like fuel for our progress in the next life.
So all those things we're working on now actually have eternal significance.
Yes.
Wow. So let's talk about prayer in the Baha'i Faith.
Okay.
This is where I get a little confused.
Okay.
You know, other religions I know have a lot of specific rituals and rules around prayer.
Right.
Is it the same in the Baha'i Faith?
It's a little different, actually. The Baha'i writings emphasize that the highest form of prayer isn't about asking for things or reciting memorized words.
Okay.
It's more about expressing love for God.
So like how you might talk to a friend.
Exactly. Like sharing your deepest thoughts and feelings with someone you love.
So it's less about like asking for stuff.
Right.
And more about connecting with God on a more personal level.
Yes. And the amazing thing is that the writings say that this type of prayer has these powerful effects.
What kind of effects?
It creates spirituality and it draws us closer to God.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But what about when you do need to ask for something? Like if you're going through a tough time and you need, some extra help?
The Baha'i writings address that too.
Okay.
They say that it's perfectly fine to ask for things in prayer.
Okay.
But that shouldn't be our only focus.
So it's about finding that balance between, expressing love for God, but also seeking his guidance and support.
Absolutely.
Okay, so you don't want to just like hit God up when you need something.
Yeah.
It's more about having this genuine relationship.
It's a relationship
based on love and trust.
Yes.
So how does that work in practice?
Okay.
In terms of personal prayer.
Yeah.
Do you just like sit in a quiet room and talk to God in your head?
The writings encourage us to find a quiet place, free from distractions where we can connect with God.
Yeah.
But it's not about rigid rituals. It's more about creating a space where you can just be open and honest with God and share your hopes and your fears and your aspirations.
Okay, so it doesn't even have to be spoken out loud.
No, not necessarily. Sometimes just silently reflecting on God's presence and love can be a powerful form of prayer.
Okay, so it's all about finding what works for you.
It is.
Okay.
And the Baha'i Faith does have daily obligatory prayers, which might surprise some people.
Oh, interesting.
But even with these, the emphasis is on personal connection.
Right.
Not just reciting words.
Okay.
There are 3 prescribed prayers.
Okay.
And you choose one to recite each day.
Oh, so you get to choose.
You do.
Okay.
You choose one of the 3.
But what's the point of doing the same prayer every day?
Yeah, good question.
Doesn't that get, like, repetitive?
It might seem that way at first, but think of it like this.
Okay.
Have you ever had a song that you listen to over and over again?
Yes.
And each time you hear it, you notice something new.
Yeah.
It's kind of like that with prayer.
Okay.
As you deepen your understanding of the words and their meaning, they can take on new layers of significance.
So those words become like a doorway.
They do.
To a deeper reflection.
Yes.
Okay, so tell me more about these daily obligatory prayer options.
Yeah.
What are they like?
Well, each prayer has its own beauty and power.
Go ahead.
For example, the short obligatory prayer is incredibly moving in its simplicity.
Okay.
It says, I bear witness, O my God, that thou hast created me to know thee and to worship thee.
Wow.
I testify at this moment to my powerlessness and to thy might, to my poverty and to thy wealth. There is none other God but thee, the help in peril, the self-subsisting.
That's beautiful. And it's so simple, but so powerful.
It really drives home the point that we're completely dependent on God, but also that our purpose is to know him and to worship him.
Okay, so these daily prayers sound pretty profound.
Yeah.
What about praying with other people?
Okay.
Is that something that's encouraged?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay.
In fact, the Baha'i writings place a strong emphasis on communal worship through devotional gatherings.
So it's not just about individual prayer.
Yeah.
It's also about...
It's about coming together as a community to share our love for God.
Okay.
And the focus of these gatherings isn't on formality or rituals.
Got it.
It's about creating this warm, welcoming, and joyful atmosphere where hearts can be uplifted and souls can be nourished.
Okay, so it's not about like a strict format or anything, what happens at these gatherings?
Yeah, it can vary depending on the community and the occasion.
Okay.
But typically there's a mix of readings from the Baha'i writings.
Right.
Prayers, music.
Okay.
And even just open conversation and fellowship.
Oh, so it's not just about like passively listening.
No, not at all.
It's about engaging.
It's about actively engaging with the teachings, reflecting on them together.
Right.
And just letting those conversations really nourish our spirits.
It's about building community as well.
It's about supporting each other on our spiritual journeys.
Okay, I've never experienced anything like this before.
Really?
Yeah.
I've been fortunate enough to attend a few.
Oh, cool.
And I can honestly say they've been some of the most uplifting and inspiring experiences in my life.
That's great.
Yeah, there's something powerful about coming together with like-minded people to share our love for God and just to support each other.
Yeah, on those spiritual paths.
But even if you don't have like a Baha'i community near you, can you still create that kind of...
I think so. I think the principles behind these gatherings can be applied to any setting, whether it's with friends or family or even by yourself.
Right.
The key is to create that space where you can connect with God and reflect on his teachings.
That's great advice. So we've covered a lot of ground already in this first part of our deep dive.
Yes.
We've explored the Baha'i perspective on this eternal nature of the soul and the power of prayer, both individually and communally.
Absolutely.
And, you know, the importance of aligning our actions with our beliefs.
It's a journey.
Yeah.
It's an ongoing journey.
It is.
And there's so much more to explore.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm definitely intrigued to see where we go next. Well, in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to delve into some of the more nuanced aspects of these Baha'i teachings, like the role of suffering in our spiritual growth and the importance of truthfulness.
Ooh, that sounds really interesting.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
I look forward to it. Picking up where we left off last time, there's this one passage that really struck me about the soul's incredible potential, even after physical death. It says that even in death, the soul will evince such ascendancy that no force on earth can equal.
So, like, we underestimate our own spiritual capabilities.
I think so.
While we're here, bogged down by the material world.
It really does seem that way, doesn't it? Yeah. It ties back to this whole idea that this world is a preparation for the next, the qualities that we cultivate here, you know, our honesty, our kindness, our detachment from material things, those actually become the driving force for our progress in the afterlife.
So it's not just about being good in this life to avoid punishment later. It's about
developing those qualities that will help us thrive
in the next world.
Yeah, in the next world.
It really reframes that whole idea of good and bad, huh?
It really does.
Yeah. So can we unpack a bit more?
Yeah.
What does this ascendancy after death look like?
Okay, so the Baha'i writings actually describe the afterlife as a realm of unimaginable beauty and spiritual advancement. It's not like a physical place, but it's a state of consciousness. It's a realm of pure spirit. And in this realm, the soul is free from the limitations of the physical body. And it can actually experience a level of growth and understanding that's just impossible for us to conceive of here. It's like we're caterpillars transforming into butterflies.
Exactly.
Wow.
And just as a butterfly can soar to heights that a caterpillar could never even dream of, the soul, freed from those earthly constraints, can experience this level of spiritual elevation. That's it's beyond our current comprehension.
It makes you wonder, what will those experiences be like?
Right. It's fascinating to think about. It reminds us that our journey of discovery doesn't end with physical death. It actually continues on in realms that are beyond our imagination.
Okay, so let's circle back to those devotional gatherings.
Sure.
I thought it was really interesting how the book emphasized creating this joyful atmosphere.
Oh, absolutely.
It's not about being super serious or following a rigid format.
It's about creating that space where people feel welcome and uplifted.
So the Baha'i writings talk about how these gatherings
should be filled with warmth, love, and a spirit of unity.
Exactly. It's about opening hearts and connecting souls.
Remember that quote about devotional meetings?
Oh, yeah.
Opening the city of the human heart.
Yeah, such a beautiful image.
It's like it really highlights the power of authentic connection.
Yes.
So it's more than just reciting words.
Right.
It's about creating this space for transformation.
It is.
So you're actively engaging with the ideas, reflecting on them together.
Yes.
And letting those conversations really
nourish us.
Yeah, nourish our spirits.
And the writings also encourage us to think about the practical aspects of these gatherings.
Like what?
Like how to extend a warm invitation.
Right.
How to create a welcoming environment.
Yeah.
How to maintain an atmosphere of reverence.
So it's about taking these spiritual aspirations.
It is.
And turning them into concrete actions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And recognizing that the environment we create can actually influence our inner state.
You know, it makes me think about how you feel when you walk into like a beautiful garden or a peaceful sanctuary.
Yeah.
You just feel.
You feel a sense of peace, tranquility.
Right.
And that impacts our hearts and minds.
Yeah. Okay, so shifting gears a bit.
Okay.
There's this idea that the soul is not just eternal, but it's constantly progressing.
It is, yeah.
Like an endless journey toward God.
Exactly. Growth and development never cease.
Right.
Even after physical death.
So it's not like we reach a certain level of spiritual perfection and then just stop.
It's an ongoing process of learning, of growing, of transforming.
And this progression isn't a solo journey, right?
Not at all.
What did the Baha'i writings say?
In the next world, souls associate and commune intimately with one another, and their lives, their aspirations, their aim, their strivings, it says, become as one soul.
So our relationships and connections continue to evolve.
They do, even in the spiritual realm.
That's beautiful. Do we just connect with people?
That's a good question.
We new in this life? Or do we meet new souls too?
Well, the writings do imply that we'll have these opportunities to interact with those who have attained higher spiritual stations, including prophets and other, enlightened beings.
Wow. Imagine being able to have a conversation with Buddha or Jesus. What would you even ask?
I know. It's mind-boggling.
Right. It reminds us that our learning and growth never really end.
Absolutely. There are always new heights to reach, new insights to gain.
Okay, so remember that analogy comparing our time in this world of a baby developing in the womb.
It is a powerful image.
Yeah, so we're like spiritual embryos gaining the capacities and qualities
we need for a greater existence.
It really highlights the importance of consciously nurturing our spiritual growth.
So it's not just about going through the motions of life. It's about actively seeking opportunities to learn, grow, expand our awareness.
Absolutely. And the Baha'i writings emphasize the role of the manifestations of God.
Okay.
You know, these divinely inspired figures.
Like Buddha, Jesus?
Yeah, like Buddha, Jesus.
Okay.
And in the Baha'i Faith, Bahá'u'lláh, in illuminating this path to spiritual enlightenment.
So they provide us with like a map.
Yeah, like a map,
for the spiritual journey.
Offering guidance and support along the way.
And the writings also talk about detaching ourselves from worldly desires and material pursuits.
Yes, because those can actually hinder our spiritual progress.
They compared it to like...
They did. They compared them to water and clay of the earth.
That weigh down the soul and prevent it from soaring in the heavens of divine knowledge.
So it's like those material things become anchors.
Yes.
Keeping us tethered to this limited view.
Limited view,
But it's so hard because...
It is a challenge,
we live in this world that's constantly telling us to buy more, achieve more, strive for success.
But the writings remind us that true fulfillment comes from aligning ourselves with our spiritual nature. Not from chasing after fleeting material things.
Yeah, it's about recognizing that our true wealth lies in the qualities we cultivate within, not the things that we accumulate.
Absolutely.
So let's talk about truthfulness.
Okay.
The book calls it the foundation of all human virtues.
And it's not just about avoiding lies.
Right.
It's about living authentically, aligning our words and actions with our beliefs.
Okay, and there's that line that says, without truthfulness, progress and success in all the worlds of God are impossible for any soul.
It's a powerful statement.
Yeah. So what are the implications of that?
Well, it highlights that integrity and honesty are essential for spiritual growth. If we're not truthful with ourselves, how can we truly know ourselves and our potential?
Right.
And if we're not truthful with others, how can we build genuine relationships?
Based on trust.
Yes, based on trust and respect.
So how we live now, the choices we make, the way we treat others.
It all matters.
It all matters.
It all matters.
Not just in this life, but in the next.
Yeah, our actions have consequences.
Okay, let's talk about backbiting.
Okay.
The text is pretty clear about this.
Yes.
It's something to be avoided.
Absolutely.
But why is it considered so detrimental?
Well, the writings describe backbiting as a spiritual poison that damages both the speaker and the one being spoken about.
Okay.
It creates negativity.
Right.
It sows discord. It undermines unity.
There's that image in the text that says, backbiting quencheth the light of the heart.
Right.
And extinguisheth the life of the soul.
It's powerful.
Yeah, it's like you're chipping away at someone's soul.
With your words.
With your words.
Yeah.
It's a good reminder to be mindful of what we say about others, even in casual conversation.
And it's not just about, avoiding outright lies or slander.
It's also about those subtle ways.
Exactly.
We might speak negatively about others.
Yes, even if it's disguised as, concern or gossip.
So how do we avoid it?
Okay. Yeah.
It seems so ingrained in our culture.
It is, especially with social media.
Right.
I think it starts with self-awareness.
Okay.
Pay attention to your thoughts and words.
Yeah.
Ask yourself,
okay,
would I say this to this person's face?
That's a good test.
Yep. Right. And would I want someone speaking about me this way?
Okay. And if we do catch ourselves backbiting, what's the best way to course correct?
The Baha'i writings encourage us to focus on the positive qualities of others, to try to see the good in them, even when they're making mistakes.
Yeah. Okay.
And if we need to address an issue, to do so with kindness and compassion.
So shift our focus from criticism to understanding.
Exactly.
Remembering we're all on a journey.
We are.
And everyone makes mistakes.
We all do.
Okay.
And this ties into the broader principle of unity and harmony. The writings emphasize that conflict and contention are these destructive places that undermine our spiritual progress.
So it's not just about avoiding backbiting individually.
Right.
It's about creating that culture of kindness, respect.
In our communities.
Yeah.
In the world.
This makes me think about how negativity just spreads so easily.
It does.
Whether it's through gossip or social media or even just like the daily news.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. How do we counteract that?
Okay, well, the text offers the solution.
Okay.
It says, a thought of war must be opposed by a stronger thought of peace.
Okay.
A thought of hatred must be destroyed.
Right.
By a more powerful thought of love.
So we have the power to choose our thoughts and actions.
We do.
Even in the face of all this negativity, we can actively choose.
Actively choose.
To focus on love, peace, understanding.
We're not just passive recipients of around us.
We're active creators of our reality.
And the choices that we make have this ripple effect, impacting not just our own lives, but the lives of those around us.
So it's not about ignoring the problems in the world.
It's about choosing to respond with love, compassion, and commitment.
It's an empowering message. It is. So we've covered a lot in this part 2.
A lot, yeah.
We've explored the soul's incredible potential after death.
Right.
The importance of creating this joyful atmosphere for communal worship.
Absolutely.
The idea of the soul's endless journey towards God.
Yes.
And the emphasis on truthfulness.
Yeah.
Avoiding backbiting.
Right.
I'm seeing this theme of interconnectedness.
Interconnectedness,
And the importance of living a life dedicated to service and growth.
Our actions have consequences. Not just for ourselves, but for the world around us.
And the choices we make, big or small, contribute to shaping
the kind of world we want to live in.
Yeah. Okay, excited to see where this goes next. What can we uncover?
Well, in the next part of our deep dive, we're going to explore some of the more mystical aspects of the Baha'i teachings.
Interesting.
We're going to delve into the nature of the soul itself.
Ooh, that sounds intriguing.
Yeah.
Can't wait. All right, ready to dive into the mystical side of things.
Let's do it.
Okay, so there's this passage about the nature of the soul.
Okay.
That I keep coming back to.
Oh, yeah.
It says, "Verily I say, the human soul is exalted above all egress and regress. It is still and yet it soareth. It moveth, and yet it is still. I feel like I need to read that like 10 times to really get it. It's so beautifully written.
Yeah.
But it's also pretty complex. How would you...
It's hard to put into words, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it's like trying to describe the ocean to someone who's never seen it.
Yeah.
You can use all the words you want, but they'll never fully grasp its vastness and complexity.
I get that.
Yeah.
So how would you explain the essence of the soul?
Well, I think this passage is really getting at the paradoxical nature of the soul.
Okay.
It's both transcendent and immanent, both still and dynamic. It exists beyond the limitations of time and space, yet it also animates our physical form and interacts with the world around us.
It's a mystery.
It is a mystery.
That we can only begin to grasp.
Yeah, it's like it's both within us and beyond us.
Right, exactly.
At the same time.
Yeah, and it has this amazing capacity for growth.
Yes.
I remember the text compared the soul to like a heavenly gem.
Good.
Highlighting its inherent value and potential.
Yes, and what's fascinating is that the text also points out that the soul's true power and influence are often hidden while we're here.
While we're here in this physical realm.
In this physical realm. It's like a seed that contains the potential for a mighty tree.
Right.
But it needs the right conditions.
So what are those right conditions?
That's the question, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think it's a combination of things.
Okay.
You know, we definitely have a role to play in nurturing our souls and seeking out opportunities for growth.
Right.
But the writings also emphasize the need for guidance from a higher source.
Remember that analogy of the lamp in the mirror?
Oh, yeah.
The lamp, which symbolizes the soul, can only shine if it's lit by a fire.
Yes.
Which represents like that divine spark.
Yes.
So it's not just about willpower or self-improvement.
It's about recognizing that we need that divine guidance and seeking out those sources of spiritual illumination.
And that's where the manifestations of God come in.
That's where they come in.
Acting as those divine fires.
Yeah, like Buddha, Jesus, Bahá'u'lláh.
Right, providing that link.
Yes, that link to the divine.
Helping us unlock our potential.
They're like spiritual mentors.
Yeah.
Guiding us along the path.
I love that. It's not just about reading their words.
No, it's about internalizing them.
Yeah.
Letting them shape our thoughts, our actions.
Aligning ourselves with that higher purpose.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, there's one more passage I wanted to touch on.
Sure.
It says that we shouldn't sorrow if these days and on this earthly plane things contrary to your wishes have been ordained and manifested by God.
It's hard when things don't go our way, isn't it?
It is, but it sounds like it's saying that challenges and setbacks are just an inevitable part of life.
They are.
And sometimes what we might see as negative can actually lead us to a deeper understanding
of ourselves and our purpose.
So those tough times, those struggles, they can actually be opportunities.
They can be.
But how do we shift our perspective to see that?
Well, I think it's about surrendering to a higher wisdom, trusting that even in the midst of difficulty, there's a greater plan unfolding.
And the text offers this promise.
It does.
It says, days of blissful joy, of heavenly delight are assuredly in store for you. Worlds, holy and spiritually glorious, will be unveiled to your eyes.
It's a vision of hope and possibility.
It's a beautiful message.
Yeah, reminding us that the journey continues in realms beyond our imagination.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive into the Baha'i teachings, what's the one key takeaway?
You know, for me, it's the reminder that this journey of spiritual discovery is ongoing.
Right.
We may not have all the answers, but we can keep exploring, keep reflecting, and strive to embody those qualities.
The qualities that align us with our highest aspirations.
Exactly.
Beautifully said. And remember, this is just a starting point.
A starting point.
We encourage everyone to explore these writings for yourself, to ponder their meaning, and see what resonates in your own heart and soul.
Absolutely.
You never know what treasures you might uncover. Thanks for joining us. And until next time, keep seeking.